Food Fight Culinary Combat is here. It has launched exclusively on the Atari VCS, so I had to dive straight in. And yes, my hat is green and I have a green screen. Such fun! Without further ado, let's get into the review. Food Fight is one of my favourite classic Atari games, and so when I saw that a new game, Food Fight Culinary Combat, was out just in time for Christmas and launching exclusively on the Atari VCS, I had to jump straight in. The game isn't like most of the other modern updates of classic Atari games that have come out over the last few years. For the most part, we have received what's called the Recharged series of games, which gives us updated gameplay and neon graphics, and they're all 2D. Now, whilst these are mostly good, after several releases, I'm happy to see that a different direction has been taken with Food Fight Culinary Combat. This is so much more than I could have expected, and it is a lot of fun. In the classic game, you'd have to dash across the screen and pick up ice cream cones whilst dodging villainous chefs who will try to catch you and throw food at you. Likewise, you could pick up a pile of food to throw at them, hence the name Food Fight. This game isn't just an update of that concept, and is a mix of different styles and has lots of secrets and things to unlock. The game is something of a 3D platformer crossed with a shooter. When I first fired it up, my reaction was, this was Atari does Splatoon. There are various game modes, and there is the promise of online play. But with the small Atari VCS user base, I've yet to actually get an online match. Methinks a little organisation within the community will be needed to make this happen. Now, there are matches that you can play across 6 or 8 different arenas, which include places like a town and a shop, and they vary in your objective to play these different matches. There is standard stuff like getting the most kills, or being the last man standing, or capture the flag, or, as it is in this case, capture the cone. Now, when I say kills, of course, I don't mean kills, as this is Food Fight, and the game is too cute and whimsical for such violence. Instead of heavy artillery, there are guns that fire popcorn, and you can throw marshmallow gloop. You can also throw tomatoes and fire pizza slices and mini pizzas to smack other people in the face and hopefully make them go all pixely and vanish, but don't worry, because they'll respawn, because like I said, there's no actual killing. The game controls really nicely, and it is easy to pick up and play. Now, I can see this being a game that will be easy to jump into for a few matches at the end of the night, or to squeeze in those spare few minutes that you've got where I don't really have time to get into a big adventure game, so I'll just fire up some Food Fight. The game has a hub world, and it kind of takes me back to the days of the N64 and Dreamcast. Its graphics are truthfully a little reminiscent of Dreamcast graphics, but that isn't a bad thing. Everything is super bright and colourful, and it reminds me of the graphics you'd see in something like Crazy Taxi. Also, just the hub world kind of reminds me of the hub world that you'd go around in Sonic Adventure. And also, if you know it, that rarely spoken of gem, Flanagan Brothers on the Dreamcast. This game really reminded me of that. Lots of charm, lots of humour. This is exactly what I think Atari needs to do in order to take their franchises to the next generation. The game features appearances from all sorts of Atari characters. It has the Centipede from Centipede, and he's working in a bar, and it has the bear from Crystal Castles, and he is owning and running a business. I think he runs the arcade, in fact. Now, there's other places that you can go into. There's a museum, there's a restaurant, and throughout all of these you will meet some cartoon characters from Yar's Revenge, and you'll also meet cartoon versions of Nolan Bushnell, who owned Atari, and the guy who made the infamous E.T. the Extraterrestrial game. And it really looks like him too. I'd like to see the Atariverse continue in more games in the future, as I think they're onto something here to make the characters more approachable for a modern audience and marketable like how Sega and Nintendo's characters are. Like the versions and renders they've got of Centipede and the bear, I forget, is it Benny the Bear from Crystal Castles? They look like they could have their own platformer games. Now, one thing that was a pleasant surprise is that you can earn coins through playing the main combat part of the game, and then you can buy arcade boards to fix broken arcade machines in the arcade section, and then you can actually play full versions of old Atari arcade games. I mean, this is an Atari release, so of course it's got a collection on there so you can play about another 10 old arcade games. And this gives you the likes of Pong, Centipede, Outlaw, the original Food Fight of course, Breakout, Asteroids and more. You can even play Yar's Revenge on an Atari 2600. And doing this allows you to unlock artwork in the Atari Museum that you can go and visit. Now, strangely, they've got artwork for games beyond the ones that you can play in it, so it makes me wonder if there's still some unlockables that I've not come across. It's cool that there are also 3D renders of all the Atari consoles from the original Atari 2600 through to the Jaguar. Although, now I say it, I'm not sure if I saw a modern VCS in there. The game also has a bunch of 3D platforming levels and a shooting gallery level too. These are just side sections to the main game and almost feel like a proof of concept for what a bigger sequel could have. Now, I did half wonder if there was more to see or do, as there seems a few areas in the hub world that you can see but can't currently get to. If these can be unlocked or will be reachable through an update, I'd be interested to see more unlocked in the game. Now, if there is more that I just haven't unlocked yet, well, I'd feel a tad silly, but there isn't too obvious to suggest that there is an ongoing story in the game to keep progressing and unlock more. I mean, there are achievements in the game, but it doesn't suggest that unlocking those will unlock new areas. In this sense, it kind of reminds me of Splatoon, where the focus is more on the multiplayer matchups rather than the single player experience, and that's fine. The hub world with the nostalgia stuff also reminds me of the Sonic World 3D section of Sonic Jam on the Sega Saturn. It's the first time we got to run around in a Sonic game in 3D and then just go and look at some old relics and artwork and renders of things in 3D, and it's very similar in Food Fight. And it's just fun to be able to go around this small but big enough area just to sniff out some secrets. Now, I look forward to playing this a lot more in the months to follow, and although I don't know this for certain, I expect that there will be some updates with some new content added. It does feel like this release is just to kind of test the waters and that eventually it will become a bigger game. My suspicion is that the VCS release specifically is just to get some feedback from the core Atari fan base. And when this launches on other platforms, there will probably be some improvements and new content. As long as we get it on the VCS as well, then I'm not complaining. Now, for what this is, I have had a lot of fun with Food Fight, Culinary combat so far on the VCS. It's got a lot of charm and is easy to dive into, and so far it has been a lot of fun. So that wraps up my review of Food Fight Culinary Combat for the Atari VCS. It's a lot of fun, and I think a lot of people should check it out, and I definitely think this will do well if it launches, when it launches on other platforms as well as the VCS. Now, I would really appreciate if you would smash that subscribe button over on www.youtube.com/@geekbattlegaming. Do check out www.xstreamed.tv. It will pop up here in a second. Or it'll pop up right here, in fact. It'll be here right as I'm talking right now. www.xstreamed.tv/gaming for this video in article form, as well as tons of other article stuff. Gosh, I'm losing my voice. It's because I've been doing so many videos on the channel. I'm just going to leave this in. We don't need to edit it out. And so do check them out. There's been a bunch of reviews of Atari stuff recently. Just had the Berserk Enhanced Edition for the 2600 plus review go up, as well as Madness Beverage, the first-person shooter game for the VCS. Not only have I just had a review go up, but I've had the full gameplay long play go up, so you can just watch it if you don't want to play. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up here. I hope you have a great day, and until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, and ciao for now. Boom! And we're off the air.